Welcome to the Children in Scotland podcast. This episode features our Policy and Participation Manager Elaine in conversation with Liam, Finlay and Maya, 3 members of our Changing Our World Children and Young People's Advisory Group. This episode was recorded in November 2019 at our annual conference at Murrayfield Stadium in Edinburgh.
Well, hello, I'm Elaine and I work at Children in Scotland. And I'm here today with 3 of the members of our Young People's Advisory Group, Changing Our World. So today we have Finlay. Hi, Finlay.
Hi.
And Liam. Hi, Liam.
Hi.
And Maya. Hi, Maya.
Hi.
So we're just going to introduce ourselves, give you a bit of fun facts so we know about each other. So I'm Elaine and I like karaoke and eating cheese, not at the same time.
I'm Finlay. I am the founder of a campaign which is going to be started up in northeast of Scotland, Aberdeen, called Fitness for All.
I'm Liam. I'm 11. I can play the drums and I'm a huge Harry Potter fan.
Hi, my name's Maya. I'm 17. I live in Orkney and I have a pet sheep called Sean.
Oh, lovely. We'll have to come and visit Sean this year. So we thought we would share this podcast with you and talk about changing our world and about children's rights in Scotland and our experiences of that and positives and some challenges as well. So Changing Our World is the Young People's Advisory Group for Children in Scotland. And how long have you been in that, Liam?
I've been at Changing Our World about 6 months now.
And how did you find out about it?
My mum works for Children's here in Scotland and she heard about it and she showed it to me and I really wanted to be part of it.
Oh great, and we're so glad we have you, but what was it that appealed to you? Why did you want to apply?
I wanted to have my say in my rights and children's rights for the future.
Great, thank you. And Finlay, you've been a member a little bit longer.
Yeah, I've been a member of Changing Our World for 2.5 years, just about, yeah, and well, I was one of the founding members.
And how did you hear about it originally?
I heard about it through my deputy head teacher who sent it on to my mum through a well-used school platform, Class Dojo, and I just sort of applied from there and then came to the meeting on the 24th of June 2017.
Wow.
And been a member ever since.
You have, thank you. And Maya, you're a bit like Liam, you've not been as long.
Yeah, so I've only been a member for 6 months as well.
And how did you hear about it?
So I saw it on Twitter and I just thought it seemed like a really good opportunity. I've not been part of a group like this before, so I felt like it was a good thing to be part of. Great,
okay. So maybe we could explain how Changing Our World works, because we meet about 6 times a year, don't we, in the Children in Scotland office. So Liam, do you want to talk us through what happens at a meeting?
Normally at a meeting, at the start we'll have an icebreaker and then we'll either talk about our hot topics which we go through the whole year, or we'll do a different topic.
Mm-hmm. And do you want to maybe somebody explain what the hot topics are? When we talk about hot topics, what do we mean?
Yeah, so during the founding sort of stage of Changing Our World, we picked some hot topics which we thought were relevant to young people in Scotland, and some of the ones that came out on top were mental health, bullying and discrimination, and some other ones to do with issues in Scotland.
Mm-hmm. And so we talk about those, don't we? But we also decide what we might want to do about those topics, because we want people to take some actions about them, don't we? And last year we had our 25 Cause campaign, and Changing Our World had call number 3, and it was around mental health. Can you remember what that was, Finlay?
So to summarise the call, call number 3 by Changing Our World was that every young person should have access to mental health support when they need it, whenever they need it, without discrimination, no matter their situation.
Mm-hmm. And lots of people have reacted to that call and agreed with that call as well. So it's been a very successful part of the campaign.
Definitely.
Yeah. And then when we had the newer members started, we started talking about what other hot topics we might focus on. Can you remember the kind of things we've started talking about now?
Well, we've started talking about global issues, like global warming, quite a lot.
That's right, yeah. Climate change.
Yeah.
Climate change is a very current topic in every focus of life.
Yeah. And I remember one of you said that you do learn about that in school, but what's interesting is that school doesn't then advise you or support you to be activists about that or what to do about that, and that was a really interesting point, I thought. So it's great that we can think about those action points in Changing Our World. Just so other people know, how the advisory group works. We held a workshop here yesterday, didn't we, Maya? Hoping to advise other adults who might want to support young people having their voices heard, and maybe thinking about setting up an advisory group. And we shared our experiences about that. Can you remember what the focus was, Maya, and the positives and the challenges?
Yeah, so we kind of talked about some of the main things that we thought worked well as a youth advisory group. So that was things like making sure it's a safe space and that it's fun and inclusive. And then some of the challenges, things like making sure that it's actually like representative of different areas and ages, and how you can manage to do that. Some of the challenges, and funding, all that kind of thing, and how they can be worked through. Yeah,
and Liam, one of the things you talk about is the room and the space we use when we have our Changing Our World meetings.
Yeah, it's really relaxing and calm, and we just feel safe in it, and we also have a quiet room if we need time out at any time.
Yeah, and you feel that's important, if people need that space.
Yeah, some people need sometimes to just go sit and breathe.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Or if you're not feeling so good, or if you need to think things through. Yeah, we all need that, don't we, at some point, yeah. So we have our meetings. It's supposed to be relaxed and have fun, and we have snacks, of course, that's very important.
Yep.
But it's not just the meetings we have. So, for example, we talked about the 25 Calls campaign, and we had our workshop at the annual conference yesterday. But also we've been at the networking event, the Children's Scotland networking event, and you were here for the first time this year, Liam. Can you remember what happened there?
This year there was lots of different stalls, and there was Changing Our World had a stall, and there was a Young Media Voices stall, and Heritage Hunters. Heritage Hunters is a project that some people and children in Scotland have been doing, and there's lots of things to do, but the main reason of networking event was to have a chat with someone.
That's right, meet new people.
Yeah,
Excellent. We talk at Children's Scotland about making sure that children's voices are heard locally and nationally, but also internationally. And Finlay, you were part of a group that went to Romania this year.
Yeah.
Went to Bucharest to represent Scotland and in fact the UK round about children's rights. Do you want to tell us about that?
The overall conference was on, so the full title was a EU conference on young people in decision making and policy making at a European Union level. And it was all to launch the Bucharest Children's Declaration, which a group of young people from Bucharest had come up with. So we decided that we would go along to that. There was a lot of things to do. So we arrived, this was back in May, we arrived on a Sunday morning, about 1 o'clock in the morning. Then we had on the Sunday night we had our UNICEF gala, where we had speakers, which was Anna Birchall, who was the Deputy Prime Minister of Romania.
And I think you got a photograph with her, didn't you?
Yeah,
you did very well and did a selfie.
Yeah, and there was the winner of The Voice Romania. She performed, and we had some scary Romanian dancing as well.
Yes. I mean, it was beautiful and also a bit scary.
Yeah,
because we hadn't seen it before.
No, we had never seen that before. Then on the second day, it was sort of a thing to learn more about the declaration, things like that.
And you actually presented, didn't you, about children's rights situation in Scotland? Because I think, although nothing's perfect, I think compared to other countries, Scotland is quite far down the children's rights route.
So that was the second day. We presented to a conference of well over 100 people. We went and met the Prime Minister of Romania the same day.
As you do.
All the young people, so me, Ellie and Nina, who are also part of the group, we went to that because no adults were allowed.
That's right.
We had to have our passports because it is tight security.
Yes.
But we were all gifted a present by the Romanian Prime Minister. So I was given a tie and the girls were given a scarf each. We were also given some other stuff, hard drives and bags, a traditional
jam.
Yeah, jam as well, which we sadly got taken off to Brussels.
Security, airport security.
And then we all got a big photo with the Prime Minister. Once we'd done that, we headed back, and that night was the gala. No, that was the night of just to sit down.
Yes.
Yeah, we met up with some other folk who'd come from the final day, which was the biggest was the biggest day of it.
Can you remember what you said in the presentation and what you shared about the Scottish situation? Because I remember when three of you spoke, there were some interesting noises around the room. People were like, ooh, ah, and they were clapping,
there was
weren't
a lot of noises. Scotland itself got some very good responses to it. I feel like we got overwhelming response to the sort of icebreaker type of thing that me and Ellie did start with. So Ellie did a thing where she got people to close their eyes and wonder what Scotland would be like, wonder whether it would be where UNCRC was incorporated in the law and other things which Scotland have, and we got a big cheer at the end.
Yes, because I think some countries were amazed that we have a Children's Rights Commissioner,
Yeah,
and that the government have agreed to incorporate the UNCRC into Scottish law, and I think lots of other countries would like to do that.
yeah. I think people are definitely taking shape from Scotland, stuff that we've done. I also did a thing where I asked people to put their hands up if they know where Scotland, well, if they know of Scotland, and we got a pretty good response off of that. I think majority of the room.
Yeah.
And then we asked where we know where Scotland was, which went down to a bit less, and we went down. The final question was, had anybody ever been to Scotland?
Not
and
so
then,
many had.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and then we spoke about incorporating the law. So then, we did get a chance to look through Bucharest. We walked through the we started to walk through the old town, and then we had to rush back to our hotel for the gala.
But we saw the famous bookshop, didn't we? Which
Yeah,
is lovely.
it was a really nice bookshop.
And we tried the chocolate.
Yeah, we tried the chocolate. Oh, it tasted like Kinder Eggs.
It
The
did.
chocolate. It was very nice.
So when you look back over your experience at Bucharest and the fact that we were the only UK people there, what does that tell you about children's rights across the EU? Have you got any thoughts about that?
There was a lot of people there. I mean, there was 60 children, over 60 children from 16 different countries, EU countries especially. And that itself is quite a good achievement, considering there's only 24, it's 26,
Yeah.
26 EU countries, and we got the majority of them to come, was there representing their own countries and delegates, that it was quite good for rights of young people.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got all these friends in different countries now.
Yeah,
Yeah, and you shared all your stories, which
yeah,
was
we
great.
definitely got a lot of good stories, a lot of experience, and a lot of good feedback we could get and stuff we could see in other countries.
Yeah, that's great. So that makes me think about, being part of changing our world and having these meetings and talking about children's rights and taking action and doing campaigns and going to all these events. So what are the positives for you being involved in changing our world? Whether it's a personal thing or something a bit wider about children's rights, what do you gain from coming to these events and being part of this group? What do you think, Maya?
I think that there's a lot to gain from it. There's a lot of work that I do with the Scottish Youth Parliament about being able to represent young people's views. Especially being from Orkney, we don't often get heard in national things, so being able to be part of this group really helps me to feel like we're being represented properly, and that our ideas and our experiences in a really rural community are being listened to properly. There's also just it's really nice to feel part of a group like this, and be able to have the opportunities that we do.
Mm-hmm. Great, okay. What about you, Liam? So you live in West Lothian, so it's not quite as far to travel as Maya.
Yeah.
And what do you feel about being part of this?
I've gained a lot of confidence from being in this group because before I was really shy and I wouldn't, if I was outside, I wouldn't talk to anyone except my family, but now when I'm out, I'm always talking to people.
Oh, good.
So,
And you said that you wanted to be part of this because you want children's voices to be heard by
Yeah.
people who make decisions. So well done you for taking that step yourself. Yeah, excellent. And what about you, Finlay? What do you think you gain, either yourself or about children's rights?
Yeah, I definitely think, like Maya and Liam, I've gained a lot of confidence and I've got more of a perspective of the whole of Scotland, rather than I would have if I just didn't join Changing Our World. I think I've got a better voice heard now than I did before as well. I think Changing Our World has opened doors for us, and I know me especially, it's pushed me so much on, and the amount of work that I've done in the past 2 years since I've joined Changing Our World has been, well, some people say I never have time, but keeping busy.
Yeah, I mean, you're all so busy, and it's really impressive the work you do and how much commitment you show to children's rights. So we're just so pleased that you're part of our work and that we can hear you and react to what you want us to do. So how about challenges? Because nothing's perfect, and children's rights still has a way to go in Scotland and across other countries across the world. So just thinking about challenges to children's voices being heard, young people being heard by decision makers, what do you think stands in the way at the moment? If you could wave your magic wand, what would you change at the moment?
Right now, I think some of the biggest issues the Scottish Government and especially the UK Government are focusing on is Brexit. And I feel like a lot of people are just listening. It's all focused on Brexit at the moment. Nobody's being listened to about the changes that need to go on in Scotland and the UK, about children's rights and participation. I feel one of the also issues that is towards a child's life is climate change. I mean, we need to take action now before it gets too late, and which could end up with massive issues for the future of us. Like people say, it's our future and we're trying to make the changes, whereas people are not listening and it's not opening doors to everyone. But I think the Scottish Government are pushing for a bigger open to young people, obviously incorporating law, the UNCRC into law. And I know that Nicola Sturgeon and John Sweeney were on a tour of schools in Scotland not that long ago.
So you know that people do seem to understand there are other issues that we need to be focused on, but we're all just so focused on Brexit at the moment, and that's all we ever talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of, like one of the biggest barriers that I see is people's attitudes towards children and young people. Like there's kind of just this idea that we don't really care, we're not that bothered. I think that comes a lot with the votes for 16, 17-year-olds at like the UK level. People think we're just disengaged with it. All we care about is our phones and social media, and that's it. And I just don't think that's right. And I think that this group kind of shows that like we do care, we do want to make a difference. So I think it's working on changing those attitudes is probably the biggest barrier that we're facing towards being able to improve the situation.
Yeah. And making sure that voting at 16 would be one really good step to show people's commitment to that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I think the fact that it does work in Scotland, and it makes young people feel the political process is an important one to be part of. So I think it helps. I want to be able to vote.
Yes,
so.
Quite right. I know, imagine you not being able to vote. That doesn't seem right. I agree. And Liam, anything for you? Anything you want to add to this conversation? Anything that you wish you could change in children's lives at the moment in Scotland? Or across the world?
Probably Brexit, because so many people are getting caught up with Brexit, but sometimes children aren't listened to because some parents are watching the news and complaining about Brexit or something.
Yeah. So it's all the focus again, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, and I feel like one of the issues just now, I know it's not really affecting us, but in Spain with the current political crisis in Catalonia, obviously those 9 political prisoners, I feel like young people there, I had a chance to meet a lovely young person, and she was from Catalonia, and I could see the passion and the tears she had for her region and how much she wanted the independence. It's not just an idea, it's not just an ambition, it's something that they're pushing for and they need and want.
And does she feel that in Spain or Catalonia that children or young people are listened to?
I'm not sure how she feels. I'm probably sure she doesn't feel like she's being listened to by the government and her fellow young people, because right now I can tell that she really wants independence. And I think she sees it a really good thing for her country.
Wow, interesting, isn't it? To learn about other countries and think about our own.
Yeah.
Excellent, thank you. So is there anything else we want to add to this podcast? What have we not shared that we want to share? Anything about Children Scotland, anything about changing our world, anything about campaigns or things you really care about that you'd like people to hear about?
I would say my campaign, Fitness for All.
Oh, you tell us about your campaign in Aberdeen, Finlay.
So my campaign it's going to start in Aberdeen, and our final ambition is to reach it nationwide, so the whole of Scotland. There is 3 aims for the campaign. The first aim is to reduce the rates of obesity in Aberdeen. The second one,
Reduce the rates of
obesity, increase the rates of young people going to the gym, and have 1 session of fitness added to the PE curriculum in and around Scotland.
And have you got support from local authority or schools, or are you still working on that?
We're still working on that. We're looking to build partnerships with some of the MPs and the MSPs that are currently in. I do have good contacts in Stephen Flynn, member of the SNP, and Kirsty Blackman, who is MP just now.
I think what's good about that campaign, Finlay, is that you've taken an issue that affects everybody one way or another, you know, health, physical health, mental health, but you've thought about action points that people can take. So it's not just theory, it's actually what we can do about it. And I think you bring that, all of you bring that to Changing Our World. It's here's what we care about, here's how we can do it, and that's what's really important as well, to have those actions. Anything else? What about you, Maya? Because you're an MSYP, is there anything that you are campaigning through them that you would like to highlight?
Well, there's the Environmental Protection Campaign. That is our new national campaign that we've just kind of launched the first phase of, the grassroots phase. So we've been doing a lot of consultation, finding out young people's views, what kind of they want us to look at. And most of it's going to be looking at sort of like litter waste, how we can look at that. There's also campaign kind of going on around adverse childhood experiences, which is something that I'm really interested in looking at, and getting MSPs to say that they recognise that there's a link between ACEs and children's rights, which I'm really interested in. And I think that it's a really good piece of work being done. So that's definitely something that I'm really proud of to be part of. And I'm also part of the International Relations Committee. So one of the main things about SYP is that we are politically neutral. So it's all like, you know, we don't support parties, we don't do any of that. So we have looked at things to do with Brexit, but only from a position of like, what's best for young people. But what we're starting to look at in my committee now is how we can work with a charity called Safe Passages, looking at unaccompanied refugee children coming over to the UK. We're only really just like researching into what we're going to do, but that's a project that I think is going to be really interesting, and I'm really looking forward to be part of that.
Great, wow, good stuff indeed. Really important work there. And Liam, you're in West Lothian. Is there anything that you would like to share? What would you change, or what's working for you, maybe in school or around your area?
Around my area, it's actually a really nice area because it's really friendly and there's quite a lot of friendly people. So
and how does that make you feel living there? If everyone's friendly, then
it makes me feel quite safe, especially because there's so many nice people that it's not like anything bad's going to happen or that. Good.
So that's it. We should all move there. Shall we all move? Come and stay where you are, because obviously that's really important to be able to go home and feel safe every day. Yeah. Good. Well, thank you and goodbye. Thanks very much to Maya and Liam and Finlay from Changing Our World. And we hope you've enjoyed our podcast. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Children in Scotland podcast. For more information about Changing Our World, our policy, projects and participation team, or any of our other work, head to our website at www.childreninscotland.org.uk.